But you'd been hand sewing and embellishing garments and quilts for a long time.
Very
So
long time.
kind of tell us, even how you started in this business and your love of working with your hands. So give us a little something about who you're all about.
Well, I'm going to go all the way back because I'm really kind of like the old dog out there.
Yeah.
Um, but at some point in the 80s, I got picked up by a quilting magazine to write articles for them. And they sent me around to big quilt shows to interview artists. And I think that's where it started. Um, the hand sewing thing was always something that I kept in the closet and didn't talk to anyone about. But it was really my passion. I needed to find some surface to put some hand stitching and used it sort of as a signature. It was my mark on the cloth. So with the quilting magazine, I took a class. I interviewed uh, an instructor for Bernina at the time, Alice Allen Cole, and she was teaching Sashiko on very basic Bernina sewing machines and teaching it as bobbin work, which meant that you were working upside down. And it was a real math problem about where you were going to stitch and where you were going to stop, and then where you would pick up the pattern again. And I ran into her again about a year later, and she had perfected the bobbin work routine with the heavy thread and the bobbin and a heavy duty needle. And it was really beautiful, but it wasn't for me because it was like a roadblock. Too much math, too many stops and starts, and I couldn't find the flow of the stitch. So fast forward a couple more years, and the Smithsonian ran a program, the Smithsonian Magazine. They have an adult ed portion, and they brought in a Sashiko master from Japan. And I was lucky enough to take a class with him. And it was like the hook had been slowly going into the back of my neck. But boy, he just reeled the whole thing in. And it was time to bring this out of the dark and let people know that I really do love hand sewing. And from there on, I've always looked for a surface to put more hand stitches on. So it's kind of like what we do all the time. One thing leads to another, and all of a sudden, some would look and say, "Wow, you're in over your head." Others would look and say, "Well, I really found, my thing." So
Yeah.
that's it.
Well, you really have found your thing. And I see behind you, you've brought in some of these from the vault
From the
garments,
vault.
which is, of course, the theme for the year. So
Yes.
show us a couple of things that you have, and so we kind of get
Okay.
the drift of visually what you're all about.
Um, so I brought in my very favorite garment of all time. This is a Nico jacket. I mean, we're going back a few years.
Yep.
And all of this fabric was taken out of the trash after a workshop that I taught in Texas. And the student, it was a hand painting silk. And then we would design a garment, and then you would do hand stitching. Um, these are really old vintage kimono scraps that some were in the trash, some I had, but I combined them all together to piece this for the bands and for the cuff. And this very delicate, very beat up, worn out silk, I painted it again. And I just thought it spoke to me. It needed to come out and be new again. And so I don't get this out very much, but because it's the year of the vault, I thought, why not bring out the Nico
Absolutely.
jacket?
Pull that closer
So,
to the camera a little bit so we can see a little bit of the stitching that you've done. There you go. Yeah. It's stitched all over to create a totally new motif and fabric. And we don't need to get into all the layering and all that you do now, because you're going to talk about that in Cleveland. But
right.
yeah, so yeah, that's gorgeous. And the Nico jacket should be on our list of something to bring back, actually.
It's timeless. The lines and everything on that, it goes with everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to bring it back for me, but I think you should bring it back for everyone because it's great, great
Yeah.
design.
So what's the one right behind you?
This one
Yeah.
or this one?
Either one. Either one.
Okay. This is the Japanese top.
Yes, which is our
I taught
January
this,
project. Yes.
yeah, but this is only using the right front, a right
Yeah.
front for the right and one for the left. This garment, if you're into fabric manipulation, or if you want to do anything cool and creative and just what you want to do, this is the perfect template. It goes together perfectly. You can just do anything. You could do felting. You could do, stitching that I love. You could just do anything. You could be a collage, uh, garment. But it's just a wonderful, guaranteed result. Perfect garment to work with.
Yeah, it is. Both of those garments are, as you say, good canvas. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, and then you had a plaza jacket as well somewhere,
I
um,
do.
which is something we're going to surprise everyone with a little bit later. But
Okay.
anyway, your work is stunning, and it's handcrafted, but it's sophisticated. We sent you a blouse that was a prototype for the blouse that we're going to be testing in Cleveland. And while we're not asking you to do an all over stitched, layered, whatever, I know that you are the right person to add just some touches of hand stitching.
I love to meet people and take them down my path. Hand stitching is the thing to do. It's the thing that you want to bring into your practice, your daily practice. And so it's like, good, some more people, to bring down my path. But any chance to show people the benefit that comes back when you work with your hands is kind of my thing. And I love that whenever, that moment comes when someone is in their stitching and all of a sudden they realize that, this is soothing. This is more than a stitch. That's what it's all about for me. So I'm excited.
It's going to be fantastic. It's a smallish group, so there's a lot of hand holding, a lot of attention being paid to everyone. And everybody's going to leave with what I consider to be a really stellar, high end designer personal top.